there, and welcome back to another video. So today's video, I actually had a different one planned for today. However, I just wasn't feeling it. And when I went to my product shelf to pick everything out for that video, I actually came across these three products here. And now if you haven't seen any of my other videos where I've talked about this, those three products have been with me on and off since cosmetology school back in 1993. So almost 30 years at this point. And I also put that together with the fact that I've been seeing for the past few years a bunch of 90s inspired hairstyles, and I decided why not do my actual 1993 curly hair routine. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I'm a licensed hairstylist with over 20 years of experience, and on this channel I use those years of experience to help you have healthy, happy hair. So before we dive into this, let's just set the stage here real quick. 1993, I was 20 years old. I had just started cosmetology school. Everything is new and fun and exciting. We're trying new things, doing new things. Your hair is getting experimented on, and lots of fun, lots of products. So I had wavy hair at the time. However, because it was cosmetology school, I decided to perm my hair. And the perm that I had gotten at the time was actually curlier than what my hair is now, or at least overall it was curlier. I do have some spots on my head that is the same tightness of curl as what I had with the perm, but because this is all au naturel, I also have wavy hair, I have loose spirals, I have even stick straight hair at my nape of my neck. So I have all kinds of stuff going on these days, so my hair definitely has changed since then. So it'll be interesting to see how this routine that worked on my naturally wavy hair that was then permed with the more uniform curl to my now all natural wavy curly mixed bag of tricks kind of hair. And then for this routine, I am going to make some substitutions. Even though I do have the stylers, I don't have the shampoo and conditioner that I used to use back then. It's the Biolage hydrating shampoo and then the Biolage conditioning balm. I use those all the time back then, and they're great products and there's nothing wrong with them. I just have others that I've been using and liking for the past several years, so I've been using those. And I'm not too concerned about replicating the exact shampoo and conditioner from them, just because it gave me a good foundation, just like the shampoo and conditioner that I have in today also gave me a good foundation, and that is the Verb Ghost shampoo and then the Wedod Curl Quencher Moisturizing Conditioner. And now back then, my younger self didn't always use a leave-in conditioner. Sometimes I did, and it was usually the Biolage Detangling Conditioner, but I didn't use it all the time. I also washed my hair every day. I know, young me had a lot to learn. Like I said, 20 years old, just started cosmetology school. And then another thing that's different than my routine these days is curl creams weren't really much of a thing back then. Didn't really see a whole lot of them. They didn't really exist anywhere, and I definitely didn't use them on my hair. And now I did use a serum back then to scrunch out the crunch. However, I don't have that serum, and it's the BioSilk one, and I believe it just came out right around the same time, maybe a couple years before or that year. I don't know. I'll correct it if I'm wrong up here, and I'll just leave a little note or something if I am incorrect. I do not have the BioSilk anymore, and I didn't want to pick it up for this video specifically. Serums, I have a lot of them, and it takes forever to get through them. And unless I'm actually doing a review on it for the channel, I don't like to just randomly buy more serums than what I actually need. It's a little bit wasteful, so I tend not to do that. I may do a review on BioSilk in the future because it is a really good brand, and there are some other things from there that I've never tried that I'd like to. But that is getting too far off the subject. So let's get into how I used to do my hair back in 1993. So since I didn't use leave-ins back then, I definitely will be skipping that, but I think it'll be okay because I use a really good shampoo and conditioner for my foundation. And my hair is overall pretty healthy, so I should be in good shape. And then as far as the curl cream goes, I'm not gonna lie, that one's kind of breaking my heart a little bit because you know, I really love myself a good curl cream, and not putting it in it's gonna be, and not doing my brush styling it's gonna be rough, but we'll get through it. It'll be okay. My hair will be okay. It'll be a 1993 look. It's a different look. It'll be fine. So with no leave-in and no curl cream, what on earth did I start with? Well, I used to use one of these two. Either the Whipped Volume by Biolage or the Joy Whip by Joico. I think I'm gonna use this today. They're both really good. They both give a lot of volume, and I'm not sure why I'm choosing one or the other. It doesn't really matter. Honestly, back then, I basically didn't have a rhyme or reason either. I just grabbed whichever one happened to be handy at the moment. So we are starting off with some dollops of mousse. Some pretty good sized dollops of mousse. And I already brushed through my hair. I detangled it in the shower and I detangled it after I got out, so my hair is nice and detangled and smoothed out. And it's wet, but it's not dripping wet. And I actually used to rake in mousse at the time. I don't do that anymore, unless it's a foam that I'm putting at my roots for volume, but otherwise I don't typically rake my mousses in. I like to scrunch them in, and I like to put them in after my gel, which I'll be doing with this video too, because I used to put mousse in like this before my gel and just rake it through. And then I used to put in mousse after my gel, and I would kind of smooth it over and scrunch it in. So I've got that in on the one side, big dollop to put on the other side. And again, I'm just raking it through. And there's nothing wrong with raking. I just have really, really grown attached to styling my hair with a brush. I like the definition that I get, and I like that it helps to really smooth down the frizz, and I love using curl creams, so that's my only issue there. All right, and I think I'm gonna need, one more blob, because the back needs a little bit more, and so does the top. Yeah, I kind of probably went a little ham on the mousse back then, but you know. All right, and as I'm raking through, I'm kind of pulling it up and away from my scalp on the top, and I'm pulling it out at the sides, and I'm doing this so that my hair doesn't get stuck to my head. And I did do this back then as well. This isn't a new thing. I have always been kind of pulling my hair away from my scalp to get that volume in there and to keep the hair from getting completely plastered to my head and making me look like a wet dog or like Cocker Spaniel with the little wavy ears hanging down and just stuck to your head. Now that the mousse is applied, we're gonna go with some gel, and we're gonna be liberal with the gel as well. We're gonna, lots. And again, we're going through, and we are raking it through. Also pulling it still away from my head to make sure that it is not stuck to my head. So we're gonna do another blob. I'm gonna try to show you this to see, but it's clear and it's kind of pooling down there. So hopefully you were able to see that, how much I put in there. Now we're gonna get the other side. And the back feels like it's got a little left out, so I put a little bit more gel on my hands, and we're just gonna get the back. See, I didn't section back then, and that's probably the toughest part about what I'm dealing with right now, is that I'm not sectioning, so I'm not gonna be brushing this through. I'm just gonna start scrunching, because that's what I did back then. So even distribution may be a problem here. Maybe a really big problem. If I were to rake through my hair these days, rather than brushing, I would definitely do it section by section instead of just raking through the whole entire thing and going from there. All right, and now I'm gonna flip upside down, and I'm gonna apply the gel the same way that I did on the top layers, and I've got a big blob. So we're just gonna go upside down, and that's the gel put in, and now we're gonna finish back up with some more mousse. Even more, yes, more. So now is where I'm just gonna do what you've probably seen me do with other mousses if you've watched some of my other videos, where I smooth over and scrunch it in. And this is where this technique started for me, was back in cosmetology school. And in fact, I actually liked putting it in at the end even more. So eventually I stopped putting the mousse in the beginning, and I stopped raking it through and just would put the gel in first and then do the mousse at the end. So another decent sized blob, because this is 1993 and we use a whole can of mousse in 1993. Okay, and now is where I'm gonna flip my head upside down and put the mousse in the same way, where I glide it over the top and then scrunch it in. So another big blob of mousse, because apparently we don't have enough in. So now that all the mousse and the gel is applied, and you're probably thinking that I'm done here, you'd be thinking wrong. I used to use a hairspray back then too. So if you haven't seen one of my more recent videos, I used a working spray, and I've talked about this before. I believe back then the hairspray that I used the most was the Biolash Finishing Mist. However, I don't have that. This is the one that I've been using for the past several years. It's the Aquage Working Spray. I do really love this. However, the Finishing Mist works really great. And honestly, back then, that was the one that I used the most. But again, it was whatever happened to be handy, because we're always experimenting on our hair at cosmetology school. A lot of times I'd be styling my hair at school, so I would just grab whatever happened to be literally right in front of me and use that. Not an aerosol though. I would always use one of these that's in a pump, because they don't dry as fast and you have a little bit more time to work with them. So I am going to just go ahead and spritz this on before diffusing. And I know that I've mentioned doing this in more than one video, so if you wondered where this came from, it came from 20-year-old me in cosmetology school. That's where that came from. I'm gonna go ahead and flip my head upside down, spray this all around upside down, and then I'm gonna leave my hair upside down and go right into my diffusing routine. I don't even flip my head back up. I just go straight into it. Now my diffusing routine has really not changed since then. I used to push up on my hair then too. I used to hover diffuse. So if you haven't seen my diffusing video yet, I'll go ahead and put a card up here so you can check that out. But that really hasn't changed except for towards the end, and I'll come back on here and I'll show you what's different at the end of the diffusing routine. But otherwise, the rest of it with the hover diffusing until I feel it's safe enough to start cupping it into the diffuser and bringing it up to my head, all of that has stayed pretty much the same since 1993, since cosmetology school. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip upside down, diffuse my hair, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what my hair looks like. I don't even know what it's gonna look like, since my hair is so different from what it was back then. I really don't know what this is gonna look like. So we'll all be surprised at the same time. I'll see you in a few. And we are crispy. But look at those bouncy curls though, like, that's kind of crazy. Anyway, we are not done yet. So I diffused my hair and I started to cup my hair in the bowl of the diffuser sooner than what I do now normally, because that's what I did back then. I started to almost immediately after I would hover diffuse for a few minutes, I would start bringing it up. And so my ends and my links, my mid links are pretty much dry, but my roots are still damp. So what I used to do back then, and this was done intentionally to get volume, is I used to take the diffuser off, flip my head upside down, and just randomly blow dry with it on medium speed and high heat to finish drying and get some volume in my hair. Yes, I did this. I actually really did this, and I will show you. I'm gonna do it now. So what do you think? I don't hate it. I haven't scrunched out the crunch yet. It's still pretty crunchy, although blow drying it around all over the place like that definitely helped loosen up and break up some of that cast. But we're just gonna go ahead and use my Verb Ghost Oil because, like I said, I don't have any of the Bio Silk and probably won't get any unless I review the brand. But yeah, so we'll just put this in and scrunch everything out just like I normally do. Cast is scrunched out, so now let's give it a bit of a shake so we can get some late 80s, early 90s big curly volume going on. So here is the fluff and scrunched final results of my 1993 curly hair routine. This is literally what I did. This is basically how big my hair used to get back then. Yeah, I'm not hating it, honestly, I'm really not. The only thing I would change is like I don't mind raking in products. There's nothing wrong with raking products in. I just have really liked using the brush. I like the results that I get from that, but raking it in is absolutely fine. The only thing is I would probably do it just because of the density of my hair. I would probably instead do it section by section so that I can get better, more even distribution. But even at that, it's not like it's, you know, not remotely evenly distributed. It's actually pretty evenly distributed throughout because I made sure to kind of keep raking it until I had worked it all the way through. So that had part of it, but I would prefer to put it in section by section. But otherwise, I actually don't mind this one bit. I like how nice and light and fluffy it is and how big it is. I've got some volume. I don't know, I might have to start bringing back my 90s hair because I'm kind of enjoying it. But anyway, so I'll give you a close-up look. And even doing that haphazard, just blowing my hair everywhere afterwards, you can see I don't have a whole lot of frizz at all. So this whole routine was super fast and easy because it was just slap things in, rake it through, diffuse it, blow dry it all over the place and blast it all over, and you're good to go. You're out the door. And I have actually some decent curls, and they're probably gonna last me for the next 2-3 days at least because of all of the stuff that I have in here. But this was just a really fun thing for me to do. Thank you so much for joining me on my trip down memory lane. Hopefully you had as much fun watching it as I did filming it. And if you like this video, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you'd like to see more content like this, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell while you're at it so you know when I upload. If you have any questions, any comments, or if there's anything that you'd like to see, please leave those down in the comment section and let me know what you think about my 90s hair. And I will see you in the next video. And as always, thank you for watching. Bye.